Hi, boys and girls, it's Miss Oler. Today, our lesson is going to be about telling time again, but a little bit more than just telling time on the clock today. So, I know we've been practicing for the past few days how to tell what time it is on the clock, on the analog clock. So, now we're going to actually add on to see if we know that the time is in the AM or in the PM. So there are 24 hours in one whole day. So that means that the clock hour hand has to go around the whole entire clock two separate times. One time is in the AM and one time is in the PM. See, I'm doing right now. That's only been one time around the whole clock with the hour hand because 12 plus 12 is 24. So, and there are 24 hours in a day. So 12 hours in the AM and 12 hours in the PM. Now, I think it's a little bit easier to look at this if you look at my number line that I have here. A lot of times, boys and girls think the AM is always light outside and PM is that it's dark outside. Well, you aren't really wrong, but it's not only always like that. Sometimes it is. So, when we start a new day, we start a new day at 12 a.m. midnight. Now, when I think about 12 a.m. midnight, I think about when I stay up really late to watch the ball drop on New Year's Eve. So I want you to think about, is it dark out then or is it light out then? If you said dark out, you are correct. So even though it is AM, it's still dark outside. So we have 1 a.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Those times are all you're going to be sleeping most of the time. I hope so. And not playing some crazy video games or something. These all right here, these hours, it's going to almost always be dark outside. Then something happens. If we were in school, we would be getting up to get ready to go to school. The sun rises. A lot of times it can be between 5, 6, in this area of when the sun rises. So then it's still AM, but the sun is now out. And so all of these times 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., those are all times where the sun is out. Now, if you get on the bus, I know on a typical school day, which I really miss a lot, we would be getting ready for school at 6 a.m. and getting on the bus and getting to school and starting at 7 a.m. And then we would be doing all of our work at 8 and 9 and 10 and 11. And so I want to mark over here in yellow that this is all going to be sunny. It's going to be daytime. You're going to see it's not going to be dark. It's going to be light outside. Okay. So from around 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., those are all going to be light. And then there's this thing that comes that's called noon. And then things change from AM to PM. Now, when we ate lunch at school, we ate lunch around 11:15 or 11:10, which would be over here in the AM. But most of the time, people talk about eating lunch at 12 p.m., noon. That's a kind of a pretty common time for lots of people to eat lunch. Maybe that's what time you eat lunch now with our new schooling that we're doing at home. All right, so at noon, it changes to PM. Now the clock has started to go another time around. So it's 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Now, on a typical day, you would be in school, would be going to specials. Maybe we would be doing MIT and some handwriting. We would be doing all of those things. But I'm hoping right now that while you're doing school at home, that this time you get to maybe sometimes go outside if it's nice outside, or maybe get to watch a movie with your family or something like that in the afternoon. So if we were still in school around 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., we'd be on the bus or we'd be getting home from school. 5 p.m., maybe we were doing our homework if it was a typical day at school. And then usually a lot of people eat their supper around 6 p.m. Some people do it a little bit before, a little bit after. It's all good, but most people talk about 6 p.m. as their supper time. Then we come in 7 p.m., 8 p.m., maybe you're getting ready for bed. But what happens usually right here? What happens around 8 p.m. ish? Sometimes it happens earlier, depends on what time of the year we're in, but most of the time around 7 or 8. It means that it's going to get dark. So all of this time right here, it's light outside. See, it's light outside during that time. But usually during this time right around here, it starts to get dark again. So oftentimes you're going to sleep 9, 10, 11 p.m. So we're going to write on top of that, we're going to write that it's often always dark during that time. So it doesn't mean just because it is light out or it is dark out that it's AM or PM. So you have to really pay attention to what's happening during that time of the day. All right, I'm going to have you look here, boys and girls. We're going to have a couple activities to do over here that I want to know which one of these. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, boys and girls, so we're going to continue to look at this and we're going to decide whether the activity that we're going to read over here on the side is something we would do in the AM or in the PM. So, first one is go to bed. Which one would we do, AM or PM? If you said PM, you are correct. How about getting dressed for the day? How about getting dressed for the day? What do you think? If you said AM, you are correct. How about setting the table for dinner? Dinner is usually in the around 6 p.m. So if you were setting the table for there, it should be in the PM side. How about if you were going to soccer practice or baseball practice or volleyball practice or track or any of those kinds of practices? Where do you think, AM or PM? It would be PM because it's after school, it's afternoon. It is not during the AM when we're sleeping or when we're getting up in the morning. How about a Trojan baseball game? That would also be in the PM. How about when you wake up? Would that be AM or PM? If you said AM, you are correct. And our last one is lunch. If we were at school, we would say that lunch is during the AM because we eat lunch right around 11 a.m. But if we were saying it was my schedule right now, I eat lunch more towards 12 noon or 12 p.m. because it's just a little bit later in the day. All right, I'd like you to look over on page 625 in your book. This is kind of what we just talked about. You can do this on your own, but I'm not going to do it with you right now. It just says at the bottom, think of things you do during the day and at night and draw pictures of the activities on the correct side of the page. So things that you do during the day and things that you do at night. So let's go to page 626. Up at the top, it says the hours from midnight until noon are labeled AM, and the hours from noon until midnight are labeled PM. So if we go to school at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m. means that it is 8 in the morning, 8 a.m. And if 8 p.m. would be that you maybe are about ready to go to sleep, or maybe you're reading a bedtime story, maybe you're hopping in the shower, maybe right now, maybe you could just stay up a little bit later because our schedules are a little bit different. So that is 8 p.m. because there are 2 8 o'clocks every single day, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. So we're going to decide for number 1, tell what time is shown for the activity, and then we're going to write the time. So, and we're going to circle AM and PM. Number 1, art class. Now, we're not going to say our actual art class. This is a pretend classroom that has art at 10 o'clock. That's what time it says in the class. On the clock right here. So, would we have art class at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m.? If we look back at our guy here, our little number line, 10 a.m. is right here and 10 p.m. is over here. I sure hope at 10 p.m. I sure hope at 10 p.m. you are sleeping and not going to art class. So you should write in here 10, 10, maybe not. See if it'll let me write 10. Don't know why it won't. Well, you write 10 in this digital clock and then circle AM because art class would be at 10 a.m. Let's try for number 2. Go to bed. What time does this clock say? The hour hand is in the 8 o'clock hour, and the minute hand is pointing to 30. Remember, we can figure that out because 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So would you go to bed in the AM or would you go to bed in the PM? If you said PM, you are correct. What time does number 3's clock say? It says 4 o'clock. It's pointing directly to the 4, and the minute hand is pointing directly to the 12. We know that is o'clock. Now, if you're playing after school, let's look back up at our thing here. 4 a.m. over here when it's dark before we even get up, or 4 p.m. after we eat lunch. I sure hope you said 4 p.m. because that is when you would play after school. Let's take a look at number 4. I do want to tell you number 4. I would like you to try number 4, number 5, number 6 on your own. And actually, I think you can do 7 and 8 and 9 as well. All right, so I'm going to put me on pause and I would like you to try to do that page. Okay, boys and girls, go ahead and put me on pause and check to see if you have this page the same as mine. Okay, I want to talk to you really quick about your homework because I'm running out of time for today. I want to be able to make sure that you know that you need to do these 2 pages, page 629 and 630 for homework tonight. What we're going to do for this page is I would like you to try 12, 13, 14, and write math on your own. I'm going to go ahead and put me on pause and give it a try, and then I will give you the answers after you are finished and see if we have the same answers. Okay, boys and girls, here are the answers for page 628. I hope you got them, lots of them correct. Like I said, don't forget, do your homework on page 629 and 630.